So
this is quite a long question. Durham County Council forecasts, and it does relate to you, forecasts the rise in birth rate alongside the provision of new housing in Ballinasloe will see an increase in the primary school population of at least 100 children. County Council is proposing to alter the contracts of its teaching assistants, resulting in salary cuts of nearly a quarter, is setting a course of action that deliberately devalues and demotivates this highly skilled, experienced, trained and qualified group of paraprofessionals. Since Durham County Council proposed this change to contracts, teaching assistants have already been forced to move to better paid teaching assistant jobs in neighbouring authorities or to be professional altogether. If this happens in Ballinasloe, recruiting equally experienced and trained staff will not be easy. As a consequence, our children may find themselves taught by low-skilled support staff lacking the experience and knowledge that current teaching assistants have. This will place an unnecessary financial and administrative burden on our schools in terms of recruitment costs, upskilling and ongoing professional development of these new teaching assistants. Bearing this in mind, together with an increase in school numbers, could you explain how you intend to, and this is a quotation, ensure that all schools are in a position to deliver high quality education that meets the needs of all children and their families, which has been taken from item 13, strategy for the school organisation and pattern provision of schools across County. How will this action by Durham County Council improve the educational outcomes of Ballinasloe's children? Support the priorities laid out in the Ballinasloe Master Plan developed by Durham County Council, which includes 1, providing support for businesses, and 2, getting people into work. How will this action support in providing the foundations of the high-skilled and educated workforce required by our major employers, such as GSK?
Okay, thank you very much for that. You okay to answer that?
go for it. Go for it.
Okay. Well, I think first thing to say is, at the moment, everything has been suspended. So the proposals have been suspended, and they've been suspended for a little time now. And even before they were suspended, there was basically a situation where nothing would change for 2 years. But that's kind of going back way back now. The position is that those issues are suspended. There's been really, I think, positive, constructive dialogue between the council, between the British recognised trade unions, who have been working as a project board. They have been working closely with a group of teaching assistants who've been forming a work stream, and also we've got a separate work stream of head teachers who've been looking at the issues. The work has been non-stop. It started immediately, and I'm aware that there's been meetings, not being weekly. It must just partly about weekly. I think there's 2 meetings last week. There are a constant meeting. There's a meeting this morning. So the bottom line with this is that we are hopeful that we can make progress with this matter, and that we can resolve this situation. So actually, there isn't a problem going forward.
We are anxious that it was resolved quickly, sooner rather than later. A motion was put forward to remove the suspension of contracts. We would like that removed because teaching assistants are still under the threat of dismissal and of having their pay cut quite dramatically. And there is, understandably, I think, amongst teaching assistants county-wide, not just in Teesdale, an anxiety that this issue is being pushed into long grass until after the elections in May, which I think is very understandable. Have you any reassurances that will not happen? Can you put any timescale on this for us?
I can give you absolute reassurance that the council wants this to be resolved as soon as possible as well, and it wants to, retain its experienced and well-thought teaching assistants who do a good job, and a really great job. Our schools actually are performing really well generally, particularly our primary schools compared to certainly the region, certainly and national. So we're very proud of the work that we've done in that area, and obviously that's a collective effort. That's everybody's played their part in that. I think,
but there won't be for much longer, because if you continue this, you are going to lose really good staff. 15 years in my role, 15 years, and then you're going to get someone who's going to come in and they're just going to come in and knowing nothing. Nobody could go in there and do my job.
Definitely, because what I said was that, you know, there's been incredible pace around this, and I don't know whether you guys are members of unions.
Yeah, of course we
You
are.
remember which unions, Union B, or, but, you know, if you, I think the union would confirm, I can't, not putting words in their mouth, but they would confirm there's been incredible pace around this. There's been no, you know, let up, or there's been no, as you say, you know, kind of pushing this in the long grass and playing it on. I don't honestly, genuinely believe it was not possible to do this any quicker than what we're doing.
How come you can travel 15 miles to Darlington and the pay that they're getting is £2,000 more than what I'm on for the same level of pay?
Well, I think, you know, there are issues around the country with this, but all the issues that have been basically raised have been factored into the discussions, and as I said, the council is taking this extremely seriously. I think there's been all parties as part of the, you know, part of the work streams, both from the teaching assistants, the head teachers, and other people who have been involved. The trade unions have been very active with this as well. You know, obviously they're, you know, particularly active with this.
I think Durham County Council need to realise they've made a massive cock up.
Well,
You said you hope you can see a resolution.
Thank you.
What do you see as a resolution?
most of the question, you know, the question is, as I say, your question was about how do we retain people, how do we make use of the experience and skills that we've got. You know, we are hopeful, as I say, with the amount of work that's gone on, hopefully again confirmed by your teaching assistant representatives who are part of the group, which I hope you've had dialogue with, and your trade unions, which I hope you've got dialogue with, I'm sure you have, that, you know, we're making as fast progress with this as possible, and, you know, hopefully we'll, you know, get in a place here where we can resolve it.
I wonder if I could ask a supplementary question.
I've already got it.
It relates to this lady's question here. I've been a school governor for 20 years in Barnard Castle, which has been a privilege. I've also had the privilege of seeing the hard work that teaching assistants put in, particularly in primary schools, as I say, and I think without them, the educational outcomes of children would be much, much worse. Is there any sense within Durham County Council what effect this dispute has had on their morale and their sense of worth?
Yeah,
Thank you.
The council, as I said, has been working very closely with the trade unions.
But the message of a 23% pay cut, how does
I
that
know
relate?
teaching assistants who simply feel completely dispirited because they can't do their jobs the way they want to do them. We're working very much the hours, they're working very much the hours that they're being paid. I talked to a teaching assistant last week, a friend of mine, who is a single parent, who is already having to think about whether she can carry on affording to stay in the house that she lives in.
Yeah.
She's already taken on an extra job. She would love to do after school clubs. She says she can't because she's not being paid to do those. All she wants is the salary that she is currently on. She just wants to save that. She's not asking for any more, none of us are. We just want what we have, and we've never been well paid.
We don't do it for the money, we do it because we love the children.
And I don't think that Durham County Council knew what they were doing. I think they looked at 2,700,
Yeah.
94% workers who are women,
Yeah.
and thought,
Judy,
Further line, councillors.
excuse me,
Bob,
I've got somebody talking, please.
When I knew that this issue was coming up tonight, I took the liberty of phoning Simon Kelly up at Durham County Council. I asked him, you know, what the current situation was, and obviously there's an update on Durham County Council's website, and it's linked to the front page, so you can see where they are with this. I agree that this has not been handled well. I think most people involved with it would say it hasn't been handled well. But where we are now is that all the proposals, as Mr. Collins has said, have been withdrawn, and they've
no,
started.
they haven't. I think
They haven't been withdrawn.
You have
They've
30
been
suspended. No, they haven't. We have
Suspended, just like our strike.
It's been suspended.
Right.
Hasn't been
So-
withdrawn.
So what Simon
You've been
Hennig said to
listening
me,
about that.
what Simon Hennig said to me was that there is obviously this review underway. It's involving 15 teaching assistants.
Yes.
It's involving head teachers. He says it's very close to resolution now.
Well, I
And
wish he would tell us that.
well, your union reps and the TAs who are on that panel and the head teachers who are on that panel should be feeding that information back to
They're
you.
not allowed to, actually.
Well, okay. But what he said to me was that the way that this is likely to be resolved, and I'm probably speaking out of turn, is that TAs will be regraded
That's all we're
to
asking
the
for.
point where none of them will suffer any financial penalty.
Well, I'm very
Is that
pleased
Mr.
to hear
Henning's
that.
Mr. Henning, no, I haven't got it in writing, but he said it to me on the phone.
Is that your understanding, Mr. Collins?
Well, I'm not going to, get into any of that. I've answered the question. All I can say is, that's all I'm prepared to say, is that there has been a lot of pace around the dialogue that's been between the teaching assistants, the trade unions, the head teachers, the project board around this matter. And, I honestly, genuinely don't think it could have been done any quicker. And, hopefully we'll have some news soon. But it's a very complex issue. So, we're making as fast as progress as possible, and we'll hopefully get to a point very soon where we can have some news on this. But I can't say anything else because there's further meetings to have with with trade union colleagues and so forth, and obviously they're in place. So, but
What they also say in these updates on the website actually says, and Kate has put this in writing, please be assured that all teaching assistants will be individually consulted on the outcome. So if it's gone quiet now, then let's hope that's for good reasons.
And I also have here an email
Yeah.
which says the council's head of legal services has said it would be unlawful for the council to withdraw its notice of termination of contract issued to teaching assistants. So I think what we're getting here is some ambiguities, some contradictions in what's being said, and perhaps you can understand now why the teaching assistants here perhaps feel undervalued. I think it's hugely helpful that you, Mr. Collins, have publicly stated your support and how much teaching assistants are valued. But this is a cohort of individuals who, over the last year, have just been told actually they're not worth what they're paid, and that can't be right. It can't be right for these individuals, and it can't be right ultimately for the education of the children of Castle, because, as has been said, ultimately if you pay peanuts you get monkeys, and the quality of education, the educational outcomes will suffer.
And as I say, there has been an incredible pace around that work, and I do hope that we can reach a conclusion to this, hopefully as soon as possible.
Thank you very much for your support. It would be very useful to have that in writing and for you to push forward for an early conclusion before the elections, so that we don't feel that this is just something that's being pushed further and further back.
As I say, to really suggest that you talk to your trade unions about this. They're actively involved with where we are with this.
Yes, obviously you do, but it's wonderful to have your support.
What we will do, we are dealing with this as quickly as possible, and what we can't do though is we cannot make the process any quicker when we have to actually say, as I think somebody said there, we actually have to go out and consult in due course with each school, certainly in the future. So that's part of the process.
So do you have any sense as to when it might be resolved?
I'm not going to suggest that because it's just, we'll look to resolve this as soon as we can.
I would expect that Councillor
I think it's a
Henning would want to
difficult one
solve
to put
before
time
the
on, but
election.
Incredibly
I
difficult.
would hope so.
Because
you know yourself.
Yeah.
You've got a decision anyway to actually get it settled.
Especially with socialists.